State capture, it can be said in whatever form it takes, is abhorrent, and it is something that we all as South Africans should not and cannot tolerate. Among the urgent steps we need to take in this regard is to establish a judicial commission of inquiry so that this commission of inquiry can probe the claims of corporate capture of state institutions. Now, President Jacob Zuma, who is the head of state and head of government, has the powers to establish such a commission in terms of Section 84F of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, and he has indicated that he is not opposed to the establishment of a commission of inquiry, and as we speak now, he is in the process of consulting his legal advisors to find ways of giving effect to this proposal. It is in the interests of all South Africans that the commission should be set up as quickly as possible so that all those who have evidence can present their evidence to a competent body, and those allegedly implicated should also have an opportunity to respond to the allegations that are being made against them. At the same time, it is critical that the law enforcement agencies give these allegations their full attention. We welcome the announcement by the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation that they have already begun investigations in these matters. The veracity of the claims needs to be established. Where crimes have been committed, those responsible must be prosecuted and they must be brought to book. One of the important pillars of our democracy is this whole concept of the rule of law. It is important that South Africa should be a country that is regulated by the rule of law, and in matters like these, the law should be allowed to take its course without any fear or favor. Alongside this work, government is paying specific attention to strengthening the governance, the financial management, and the functioning of state-owned enterprises. The Interministerial Committee on SOEs, on the reform of SOEs, that is engaged in the implementation of various cabinet decisions that were taken last year. These include the adoption of a guideline for remuneration of key officials in state-owned enterprises, as well as the appointment of directors. And in this regard of state-owned enterprises, we are looking also at how we can bring the private sector to participate through a framework, particularly when it comes to infrastructure delivery. The IMC has also been overseeing a consultation process on a guide for the appointment of boards and the various executive officers, and to ensure consistency and transparency so as to reduce any form of opportunity for manipulation or bad influence. Consultation is also underway on a new government shareholder policy, which will result in an overarching SOE legislation, which will inevitably come to this Parliament. It is expected that this policy will improve our oversight on SOEs. It will also ensure more effective deployment and management of public resources and achieve better coordination with regards to the commercial as well as the social mandates of our state-owned enterprises. Honorable members, together, these measures should reduce the potential for state-owned enterprises to be captured by corporate or private interests. However, it is essential that we attend to the allegations that are currently in the public domain with the purpose, and with purpose that is, and determination, if we are to restore the confidence of our state-owned enterprises. These state-owned enterprises play a critical role in the economic life of our country, and therefore we would like to safeguard their integrity and make sure that they operate as well as they should to advance the interests of all South Africans. I thank you.
The Honorable Kungubele.
Speaker, I appreciate a helpful response by the Deputy President, but however, there is a view, Honorable Deputy President, that the pronouncement by our movement on the state capture and Judicial Commission of Inquiry is a ploy to make it general or confuse the public protector's recommendation or render the process an endless one. What would be the comment of the Deputy President to that?
The Honorable the Deputy President.
I am not aware of any commentary that would make this whole process, and particularly the public protector's intervention through her report, an endless one. This process is supposed to be a focused process, and the important part of it is that once you appoint a Judicial Commission of Inquiry, you are actually elevating the investigation of this whole issue of state capture. You are putting it in the hands of an entity or a body that is both professional, that becomes very focused, and that is independent, that will be able to manage the investigation of all this and come out with the truth. And obviously the terms of reference of this commission will guide what a Judicial Commission of Inquiry will do, and we hope and trust that the terms of reference will be focused as well as broad enough to make sure that the whole issue of state capture is properly analyzed and investigated in all its ramifications, and make sure that the truth in the end does come out. And those who've been fingered should be able, in a very fair manner, to go and give evidence, to explain themselves, and that commission will be able to clear people's names, and if others are not cleared, then very obviously the consequences of the law should be able to take place. So the governing party, in my view, is not trying to make this process long or complicated. In fact, it wants it to be as focused as possible and to happen as quickly as possible. Now, the good thing is that this Judicial Commission of Inquiry proposal has not received any rejection from any quarter. From the President right throughout, it is supported, and all that remains to be done is the modalities of having it appointed. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Swart.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Deputy President. We from the ACDP welcome the commitment to fight state capture, and particularly the second leg of your answer. Whilst we appreciate the Commission of Inquiry, there is obviously a degree of urgency where there are allegations of money leaving the country, and that's why we welcome the fact of the Hawks and the NPA also investigating allegations of criminality. As we know, the Public Protector's report also referred allegations of criminality to these units. However, Deputy President, we are concerned about the allegations from the board chairperson of PRASA, Mr. Papa Molefe, who is now going to court, where he alleges that the Hawks did not investigate allegations of corruption over a period of 2 years. And I would ask you, Deputy President, how then, whilst we appreciate the need to urgently investigate criminality now and to investigate and prosecute, how can we ensure that the Hawks are not themselves captured in as much as they do not investigate the serious allegations. There is so overwhelming and compelling prima facie evidence that should be investigated and, when necessary, prosecuted. Thank you, Speaker.
The Honorable the Deputy President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If we live, as we do as South Africans, in a country that upholds and respects and embraces the rule of law, we should not be concerned that any state institution should act unfairly and should act outside the parameters of the law. And if, for instance, the chairperson of PRASA believes that the work that should have been done by the Hawks has not been done, he is fully entitled to approach the judiciary in our country, which is an independent institution, to get a declaratory order, to get some form of justice, and to have the matter properly addressed. So anybody, from a lowly citizen in our country to whoever else, they have that opportunity and the right. But what is important is that the rule of law should be the real lodestar that all of us follow and focus our eyes on. And in this regard, I would say, if anybody has any doubt about any state institution acting outside the parameters of the law, the judiciary is there to apply the rule of law. And in this regard, if the Hawks or any entity is sleeping on the job, the judiciary is there to help guide us and to help point the way forward. Thank you.
The Honorable Hlophe.
Thank you, Speaker. Deputy President, when I was listening to you, I just want to ask you a straightforward question. Do you support the Commission of Inquiry as the Deputy President or not?
The Honorable the President, Deputy President.
Yes, I do. I have gone public. And I'll tell you the reason why I support it. I support a commission of inquiry into this matter because there are all these allegations that are being made all around. And truth be told, if there are allegations like these, whoever is affected should welcome the opportunity to go before an independent body and go and explain themselves, to clear their name, and to put their case before such a judicial inquiry. And I say, everyone whose name has been bandied around or mentioned, and even those who have not been mentioned, and anybody who has any evidence should welcome the idea of going to that commission of inquiry and presenting themselves. So it is for that reason that I support it. And the other important reason, of course, it is important that those who have been mentioned should clear their names. I think it is important that they should have that opportunity to go to that commission to clear their names. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Mainir.
Speaker, my question is whether the Deputy President ultimately agrees that the best way to prevent the manifestation of state capture is, as the Honourable Gungubele himself so eloquently put it a few months ago, for President Jacob Zuma to step down. The Deputy President knows the answer to the question is yes. We know the answer to the question is yes. Why does the Deputy President just not make it easy on himself and say yes? Thank you.
The Honorable Deputy President.
You know, so if I know the answer to the question, why do you bother to ask the question? I think you should not be unfair to yourself. The Commission of Inquiry, as I said, and I don't want to repeat myself, is a great opportunity that all of us as South Africans should grab. And those whose names have been mentioned should also grab to go to the Commission and explain their actions or lack of action. And it affects everyone. It would affect me as well. It would affect my colleagues as well. It would affect anyone should have grabbed the opportunity to go to that commission and go and explain themselves. Now, that in itself has everything to do with clearing the decks, has everything to do with making sure that we put this whole thing of state capture behind us and we get on with the process of moving South Africa forward. That is the important part.